What's up everybody, it's Rob from the Basement Bike Shop, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install the Shadow Consriracy Interlock V2 chain. Now this is a half link chain, so the entire chain is made up of half links. This will allow you to get a more precise sizing of the chain right off the bat. Well, let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is loosen up your back wheel. Now you don't have to take the back wheel completely off or disconnect the brakes. All you have to do is get your axle to slide all the way forward in your dropouts by loosening your back axle nuts or axle bolts, and then if you have chain tensioners, loosening your chain tensioners up all the way. This will loosen your chain up so it doesn't bind in the chain breaker. Next, we're going to break the chain using our chain breaker. I'm using a Park CT 3.2. It's probably my favorite Park chain breaker. It has a sliding chain guide, which allows it to go all the way tight to the back block. I also like the Odyssey chain breaker, where the back block can tighten to the chain. Either way, it does the exact same thing. But you're going to put the chain all the way in and push it against the back block. Make sure everything's lined up. And then tighten it to push the pin out. And you can leave it hang on the back edge so that it's easy to put back on another bike. But I didn't have that chain on my bike. I had the Odyssey hollow pin chain. Now you're going to do the exact same thing, loosen up the back axle nuts and chain tensioners. But then you're going to get your Allen key and find the master link, which has a hex opening, and they don't go all the way through. Now they'll be on the right side of the bike. So if you're running left-hand drive, they'll actually be on the inside, not the outside. And then all you do is take the threaded pin all the way out. There's some loose pieces, so make sure you catch them all as you take it off. And then that chain is off. If you'd like to see how I installed the Odyssey hollow pin keychain, there'll be a link in the description or one at the end of this video. Now it's time to take the chain out of the box. Shadow Consriracy always has cool packaging. Now we ordered this chain in black. It comes in a couple colors. I figured black would go with anything. So the first thing we're going to do is size this chain. Now there's two ways to do that. If you want the exact same size as the chain you took off of there, then you just line up the two ends together and then straighten them out. And when you get to the other end of the chain, that's where you break it. Now if you don't have an old chain, you can size it right on the bike, leaving the axle nut loose like it was when we took the old chain off. You're going to wrap the chain right onto the bike. I usually start on the sprocket, that way the teeth kind of hold the chain in place as I wrap it the rest of the way around. And then figure out exactly how short you want to make it. I usually try to go a half link off of slammed. I don't want my axle slammed all the way to the front of my dropout. So if that's where it lines up, I try to go one notch back and then do it there. So then once you figure out the size, mark it with your finger, or if you're going to be handling it, I've already taken a twist tie and put it around that link. And then we're ready to break this chain. Now this is one of the hardest chains in BMX to break, I've found. Just a very solid chain, which is good. That's why I bought this Park CT 3.2, was specifically because my other chain breakers wouldn't break this chain. And like we said before, you just put the chain on, tighten it until it is tight against the back block. Make sure the pins are lined up, and then you're just going to crank it home. Now if you have to buy a chain breaker to break your Shadow Conspiracy chain, I recommend buying the Odyssey chain breaker. It's like a third of the cost of the Park Tool chain breaker, and I like it a lot. You tighten the big screw on the back block that I'm tightening now against the chain, and then you turn this pin in. It also comes with an adapter for removing the hollow pins on the Odyssey keychain. And then everything else works the same. You push the pin right out. Now that our chain is cut to the correct size, we're going to string it back onto the bike. Now note that the Shadow Conspiracy chain has a top side and a bottom side that is not reversible, and it has a front and a back to the links, which is also not reversible. So pay attention to the way I put this on, or in the directions there'll be a diagram that will show you exactly how it goes on. I'm just gonna put the chain together. The pin sticks in just a little bit so that you can hook the other side onto it, and it'll hold it while you get your chain breaker chain tool ready. Now you're just gonna put it onto the chain breaker backwards. So instead of pushing the pin out, you're gonna push it in. It takes a little more time to line it up. Make sure that all the chain links are lined up and the pin of the chain is lined up with the pin of your chain tool. And take it slow at first. Make sure you're adjusting everything so that it goes exactly how you want it to. Watch the other side and make sure that you push the pin evenly with an even amount sticking out of both sides. And then we're going to relieve the tight spot. Now you can do that a couple different ways. On a fresh install, I like to take my chain tool. After I get it pushed in, I'll push it just like a 1/2 millimeter in too far, and then push it back that 1/2 millimeter. You don't want to do this too much, just once if possible, and that should actually loosen up that link very well. And then lastly, we're going to set the chain tension. Now if you have chain tensioners, you're just going to tighten them up evenly so that your wheel stays straight. And then you don't want your chain too tight. All that's going to do is wreck the bearings in your hub and your crank. And there's always a loose spot and a tight spot in the chain, so you want to check it in multiple places and set it to the tight spot in the chain. And then after that, you can tighten it down. Now if you don't have chain tensioners built in, the trick I use for that, for setting chain tension, is I tighten my non-drive side down. Just pretty close to where it has to go. And then using leverage, I pull my wheel over with one hand. And as you can see, doing that tightens up your chain. And then I'll tighten down the drive side. Check my chain tension. Once I have it to the desired place, I loosen up the non-drive side, straighten the wheel, and then tighten up the non-drive side again. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and I'll keep these videos coming. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, you can email me or you can leave a comment below. I try to put these videos out on a regular schedule, but I've been pretty busy lately, so my upload schedule is a little bit erratic. But if you don't want to miss it, you can turn on those alerts and you'll be notified when my videos come out. Thanks a lot.